Hello, this is Grapple Talk, the first ever video. We are talking about the Intercontinental Champion of WWE. It's going to be like a semi-short video. It's not going to be too long. So yeah, I'm just going to be talking about the history and stuff. So it might be a bit short for everybody. You might have to kind of like focus on what I'm saying. I'm quite a quick talker. So let's get into it. So we're going to start off with just a generalization over the WWE, the Intercontinental Championship. So basically, it's a professional wrestling championship for the men for WWE, and it's on the Raw brand at the moment. So it is a secondary title for the WWE's main roster, along with the US Championship. So let's get into let's get into it. So obviously, it was established in '79 by the WWF at the time. So they say it's unified the WWF North American Heavyweight Championship with the South American Heavyweight Championship, as Pat Patterson became the inaugural champion. It is the third oldest championship currently active. The WWE Championship was made in '63 and the US Championship was '75. But as the US Championship wasn't owned by WWE till 2001, it is considered the second longest tenured championship in WWE. It is a mid-card championship at WWE, but it has been defended in main events of some pay-per-views, including WrestleMania VI, SummerSlam in 1992, the 3rd and 8th In Your House shows, and Backlash 01, and Extreme Rules 18. It has been called a stepping stone. So in 2001, WCW's United States Championship was unified with this Intercontinental Championship. Then in 2002, at the first brand split, it became exclusive to Raw. And then it was when WWF became WWE. And later that year, European and Hardcore Championships were then unified with the Intercontinental Championship, which then became the World Heavyweight Championship. So the next year, it was reactivated for Raw. So let's get into what the term meant originally. So originally, it meant the Intercontinental bit meant North and South America. But in '85, the championship belt design changed, so it's now centered the Atlantic Ocean, and Western Africa and Europe were now included on the map. And in '89, it was first event outside of North America by Rick Rude in Italy against the Ultimate Warrior. In '91, Mr. Perfect made his first Asian defense in Japan, and this was the WWF co-promotion Super World of Sports. This was against the Texas Tornado, or was better known Kerry Von Erich. And then it first came to Africa at April 6th, 1997. Then champion Rocky Maivia pinned Savio Vega in South Africa. And then Gene Snitsky got pinned by then champion Shelton Benjamin in Brisbane in 2005. So now we're going to get into the history. So the North American Heavyweight Championship, Pat Patterson became the first ever champion in 1979. It was said he was in a tournament in Rio de Janeiro and he won the South American Heavyweight Championship, so they unified them. Although both the South American Championship and the tournament were both made up, so they were just fictional. And then in 1990, at WrestleMania, the Intercontinental Champion at the time, the Ultimate Warrior, had a match against the WWF Champion Hulk Hogan, and he won. And then he won the WWF Championship off Hulk Hogan. And the Intercontinental Champion got vacated soon after for the very first time. So they had a tournament, and then Mr. Perfect won and was crowned the new Intercontinental Champion. And on October 17th, 1999, the first ever and only ever woman at this very moment in time, Chyna, became Intercontinental Champion. She defeated Jeff Jarrett at No Mercy. This was when WWF purchased WCW, and in March of 2001, the US Championship of WCW was unified with the Intercontinental Championship at Survivor Series. And so then they had a match with the then US champion defeating the then Intercontinental Champion, Test. And in 2002, they had the first brand split and WWF became WWE. And then the Raw general manager at the time, Eric Bischoff, unified all of his brand singles titles. In 2002, July 22nd, the Intercontinental Championship was unified with the European Championship in a ladder match. And then the then Intercontinental Champion Rob Van Dam defeated European Champion Jeff Hardy. And on the August 19th that year, there was a 6-minute gauntlet match for the Hardcore Championship. And whoever won that match faced Van Dam. And Tommy Dreamer retained his title but lost to Van Dam the next week as a result of the victories. Van Dam is regarded as the last hardcore and European champion in the history of WWE. So on September 30th that year, Bischoff scheduled a match to unify the Intercontinental Championship with the World Heavyweight Championship. This took place at No Mercy the following month. Triple H, the World Heavyweight Champion at the time, defeated the then Intercontinental Champion Kane, making him the only male singles champion. Raw co-general manager Steve Austin reactivated in 2003 and then declared any former champion would be in the Royal Rumble. Not the Royal Rumble, the Battle Royal, the Battle Royal, and would win the championship. So eventually they did do the same thing on SmackDown with the US champion. Christian won that Battle Royal for the Intercontinental. And then so basically in 2015 they had the first ever Elimination Chamber match where it was defended. And then in 2016 they reintroduced the brand split. And then the Miz, who was the Intercontinental champ at the time, was drafted to SmackDown. And then just days later, he defended it against Darren Young, who was at Raw, at Battleground, making it exclusive to SmackDown, basically. And then they had a Superstar shake-up in 2017. Dean Ambrose was moved to Raw, and he was the Intercontinental Champion, making it exclusive to Raw. And then 2 years later, they had another shake-up in 2019, and the Finn Balor, who was the Intercontinental Champion, went back to he got moved to SmackDown, so he went back to SmackDown with him. So then, later that year, the NXT brands became developmental territory, and then it became WWE's third major brand when it was moved to the US network in September, thus making NXT North American Championship the third secondary title in WWE. However, this recognition was reversed when NXT reverted back to being WWE's developmental brand in 2021. In 2024, they made a Women's Intercontinental Championship and they did the same thing with the US Championship. Yes, that's basically the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Is just basically a very similar design but with a white strap, basically similar to the men's, basically. Just white strapping on it. And then the designs. So the 85 version is one that I think a lot of people would see. Like, obviously the Stone Cold had it, Razor Ramon had it, so it's very anomalous with them. So basically it's got a black strap, it's got the world on it, so it's got the blue globe with the WWF on the top, and it's got Intercontinental on the top ribbon, and then Heavyweight Wrestling Champion on the bottom, and it has stars on each side on the top. So they did also have costume straps, so like the yellow one that was worn by Ultimate Warrior, and the blue one who was worn by Shawn Michaels. And so then after that, in '97, Stone Cold Steve Austin, he had the title, and he threw it in a lake or a river, so they redesigned it. So now it's got a. So it was originally a purple strap and a WWF block logo, but after they redesigned it to a black strap and the WWF scratch logo. The centerpiece was oval shaped and featured an oval shaped world map with the company's logo in the center. So then it had 6 diamonds and an inscription, initially read WWF or World Wrestling Federation, the Intercontinental, and on the ribbon and the champion at the bottom. Each 4 sides represented continents. So then obviously they did change it to have WWE when the name change happened. And in 2011, Cody Rhodes reintroduced the modified version of the Parks 85 to 97 belt design with just like a white strap, basically, which is the one I quite like. That one, it looks quite good, but I don't think they'll bring that back, considering the fact that the women's one has a white strap. But I prefer that one. So obviously they made the scratch logo to the current logo on that belt. In 2019, Sami Zayn presented a new belt. So I believe this one's the modern one that Dominic has, but I think the colour of the globes is slightly different. Yeah, so in 2019, the one that Sami Zayn did, basically is very same as what Dominic has now, and it's the black leather strap with an entirely new centre plate with a regular shape portion, and so that the centre portion, the centre plate features an oval shape. Top oval says Intercontinental. The bottom half says Champion. The word heavyweight sits on the banner, and then obviously it's got to represent a oval in the diamond shape, representing a wrestling ring viewed from above. So yeah, on the plates, on the side plates, the centre plate is 2 halves of the globe. The left side features the North and South America, as well as the Africa and Europe, and the globe on the left shows Asia and Australia. Both globes show portions of Antarctica. So yeah, so in 2014, basically they just changed the black globes to blue, and the blue globes on the centre plate. But obviously it does change the. You can get the side plates just like they do in the WWF or the WWE belts. Yes, and they did have some tournaments. They had one in 1990. So this was when Ultimate Warrior vacated the title after he beat Hulk Hogan, and Mr. Perfect won in 1990. In 96, Adam Johnson forfeited the title. He suffered kayfabe injuries, and Mark Merrow won. In 97, Stone Cold Steve Austin had his neck injury, so he forfeited it, and Owen Hart won that tournament. In 98, Triple H vacated due to injury, and Ken Shamrock became champion from that tournament. In 08, so William Regal's in. So this would be the number 1 contenders match in 08. So CM Punk became that after defeating Rey Mysterio in 2010. So this one was. So yes, I think so the Drew McIntyre, basically, Drew McIntyre to start series failed attempts again in the Intercontinental Championship. Drew McIntyre to stop attacking Matt Hardy, feared alongside McIntyre and vacated the title. So Kofi Kingston won the tournament, but McMahon reverted along to decision due to decision by McMahon. It's basically Kingston's championship was not recognised, and WWE continued to recognise McIntyre as the champion during that period. But then Kingston did beat McIntyre again, and that was in 2010. In 2020, Sami Zayn elected to refrain from competing during COVID-19, so they did a tournament for that, and AJ Styles won. So for the title reigns, obviously the first ever one was Pat Patterson in '79. They have been, since then, there have been 188 reigns among 92 different champions. Chris Jericho was the first ever. He's had the most reigns, at 9. I think The Miz has had 8, so he's very close behind. If he gets one more before he retires, he could be drawn with him, what we can get to. Then Gunther's had 666 days, so that's the longest one in history, both as a singular reign and most reigns as champion, basically. Pedro Morales had this prior 41 years before Gunther beat his record, and it was 619 before that, over 2 reigns. Dean Douglas only had 13 minutes and 52 seconds, which makes that the shortest reign. Chyna's the only one to ever win. And the youngest champion was Jeff Hardy at 23, and Ric Flair was the oldest at 56. There's only been 10 vacancies over, I think about. It's been around for 40 odd years, so that's quite a few. And there's only been 5 men who have held the title over 1 year, basically, and that's Pedro Morales, Dom Morocco, Randy Savage, the Honky Tonk Man, and Gunther. So, my opinions on this championship is quite like it. I think it's a workhorse championship. Most people who work hard got it. The Miz, obviously, he's worked very hard for it. He's built himself up. I do think Cody Rhodes deserved it when he won. Daniel Bryan deserved it when he won. I think Dominic's doing alright with it. Gunther did very well with it. But obviously, my favourite version of this one was the white strap of the 85 version. But, if you watch this and you like what I've just done, I could do more history, I could do top 10s. But yeah, just put what you like. Put if you found this fun or you liked the information, put down which version you liked, which champion you preferred. I'm not going to go through all the champions because it's very long for 92 different people, 188 reigns. But yeah, thank you for watching.